Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to Phatkat Collections. Really short video today. This is on Voukad, V-O-U-K-A-D. They sent me two of their beard trimmers, or hair trimmers, right? So I always request two on items that are under a certain price point, because by the time I do a video, you have to kind of weigh how much time you're going to put into a video. But what I find when it comes to products like this, you guys know I usually review watches and cologne and stuff, but I always like to review everything because, one, I get these for free, which is great. I use these every single week, and you just never know, sometimes, different products, men's products, right? They kind of overlap. So you might watch my video on a cool watch and subscribe to the channel and then see a hair clipper pop up. I say something that makes you want to get one, and then you have something, you add one to your lineup, right? So for men's grooming, I cut my hair usually once every week or sometimes 2 weeks. And I cut my own hair. So these are very important for me. I've had trimmers that I like more than others. This one's kind of a generic sort of trimmer that I already have. It's maroon. It's like the same trimmer, just under a different name. I'll always accept the hair trimmer because I do use them often, right? So when I get multiples, if this is only 25 bucks, so obviously I'm not going to be able to put up do a video for $25. It's just not worth my time. It still takes a couple hours for me to do a video, upload the keywords. So generally it has to be worth my while. So being is something that I use often. It's always nice to have a backup, so I usually will collaborate. But I'm not going to be trimming my hair or anything like that today. It is what it is. Just an unboxing at my desk. So I started cutting my hair around COVID. I used to go to a hairdresser, and then she used to come over to the house, and it's just more of an ordeal, right? It's one thing if you're dating a girl who's also your hairdresser, then great, cut my hair nonstop. But for me to have to wait around, it's a 2-hour ordeal out of my day. Maybe not 2 hours, like an hour a day. You have to wait. First, you have to book the appointment, go in there, hope you can get in, right? And if it is just kind of walk in, I don't know. It's just anything that takes time out of my day, I just don't really enjoy. And some people really enjoy the whole barbershop hairdresser thing. I can tell you, when I used to get my hair cut, there's nothing like a fresh haircut, right? You walk in just feeling awful, and you walk out feeling like $1,000,000. So there's something to be said about that and the appreciation you get from a nice fresh haircut. But around COVID, when everything was closed down, I just started cutting it myself. And I said, hey, worst case scenario, I don't have to see anybody. If I mess it up, then it'll grow back, right? So I started doing it myself, and basically for my hair, and this might be different for you, for my hair and beard, I'm not overly critical. When I would get my hairdresser to cut it, she would give me a fade on the side and then a hard part over here, usually with a shaved line. I just like my hair that way. I don't, if I wish I had the kind of hair that was super thick and, just you see guys like Brad Pitt with amazing hair. I just didn't, the cards were just not in my cards, right? So I got to do what I got to do with my hair, and it's very fine, it's very light, and I do the best I can, right? And so for me, going to a hairdresser, having this type of haircut, I never liked hair on the sides. I've always liked it kind of high and tight. It's personal preference, but with this kind of hair, it's not really critical, right? So when she would fade it, and I've gotten, when she did fade it, she'd go from a 0 guard up to maybe a 1. And I've gotten pretty good when I do actually want to fade it. I've gotten pretty good at being able to do that. Never like a professional hairdresser. You can never really do that on yourself very well. I'm sure there are people who can. But I just decided to do a full hard part. And so basically I shave it right around the sides, and I have, my comb over right on top. And so for me, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more convenient just for me to trim it at home. I kind of wet my head, and I kind of hold the hair, and I just trim right around it. Did it look better when my hairdresser did it? Yeah, she did a better job, but not enough for me to warrant $30 every couple weeks, right? Or a month, or whenever I'd go. And then it's not even the money, it's the time having to go down and do that, and then the in-between time. And then when she was coming to the house, it's great, but I always find it awkward. It's not like my hairdresser was my best friend, and it was, hey, good to see you, It just was never like that. So I much rather do it myself. So the other thing too is my beard, the beard grows, and I wish I had the hair on my head that I have on my beard. My beard is super coarse. My hair is super thin and fine, but we are, right? We do what we can, right? So again, something like this, very handy for me. I basically will just use the guards to trim my beard. I'm not super high maintenance, when I get time, once a week, I zip it up, give myself a haircut. Sometimes you know, sometimes I'll even miss a spot, right? I don't really get too critical about it. Beard, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. I usually just try to like kind of blend it and fade it. And sometimes I'll slip and miss and I gotta fade it further down. At the end of the day, I'm happy with it, right? So as far as the trimmer itself, the only gripes I ever have with trimmers, they're all pretty much the same thing, is they always give you a lot of attachments. And so this is another one. I like the fact that it has this adjustment here where you can really fine tune the length, but that adjustment only works when you have a guard on it. And so this right here is one of the guards. This is pretty typical they give you. It's a very small, you know, shear, and this is basically a design shear. So this is if you want to like shave a line in. I've never used it for that. I just used a full-size guard. But if you were trying to do some kind of, if you were a hairdresser and you were trying to do like some zigzag, I don't do any of that zigzag line stuff. So this one never gets used. The one that primarily gets used is your standard blade. And to take these off, all you do is basically basically pop them off. And these actually go on pretty easy. You just basically start from, you tuck this kind of clip into the back and just clip it down. And again, this is typically how I use it. Now, if you do want to use the other attachments, it is kind of nice to give you a nose hair trimmer. And, you know, nose hair trimmers are going to run you about 10 bucks if you buy just one that only does that. So, guys, as we get older, we get hairier, you know, except on top of your head. Everywhere else, this is just not the top. But this is, you know, nice to kind of trim up the nose. Guys, you know, girls too, man. Don't have hair in your nose or your ears. Like, no excuse, right? So anyway, you get that attachment. Then, of course, the two guards they give you. So how these work, I'm just going to use, they have a beard guard. And it's nice they labeled this. My other one did not label these. And you have hair. So this has, looks like, I think that's 1.1. Is that right? That can't be right. Let me see what else I got here. Yeah, that can't be right. Maybe it is right. It says 11 on it, but that must be 1.1. Why they would just not put 1 to 20 millimeter. Let me see what they say here. Yeah, so it says here 0.5 to 40 millimeters. So 0.5 is going to be no guard. And then if we put the guard on, that basically just pops right into the top. Push it down. Then you could adjust the length here. And I'm not sure. That's definitely not. I wonder if they forgot. That's, oh, I'm sorry. I got the wrong one on there. That's beard. That is 11 millimeter 20. And then this one's 1 millimeter to 10. So let me just see what this one looks like, because, yeah, I guess that's 1 millimeter. So the only thing about these is what I like. I have a different trimmer that trims 1 millimeter without a guard, and I have had other devices like this in the past that when you change the setting, it actually moves the blade itself. So I prefer those style over this, because I just feel like once you put the guard on it, it's never like 100% perfect, especially at the #1 setting, which is typically what I like to use. I always feel like depending on the angle, it changes the cut, but they still work relatively well. You know, you'd have to be the judge, but they also list beard on this. I'm not sure why they put beard on both, but you get a lot of different. You know, if you want to bring this all the way up, you turn it all the way, and this will bring you up to, what is this? 10 millimeter. So, and this is kind of personal preference. What I'll do is, like, when I cut my hair on the sides, I will go with, usually, I'll try to do a 1. Sometimes I'll go down to skin, which is just like, you know, like a hat. Sometimes you even go down to, that's not, I'm not making any sense. Sometimes you'll go down to skin. This says this is a 0.5 millimeter. I would almost consider that a skin cut, right? Because that's awfully close, and like you're not going to have much there when you do this. Even mine, like here, it looks like I'm at skin, but there is actually hair there. So typically, what I would do is I might go with a 1, and I'll go around my ears, and then once I get to the beard, I kind of got the knack of doing this kind of motion, which kind of like fades it yourself. It's how a barber or hairdresser does it. But if you want to get a little, while you're kind of practicing this, like you might move it out to, let's say I don't know, you might go like a 5, right? And then kind of work your way up and just kind of keep changing. It all grows back. So just kind of keep changing the length until you can kind of fade it together. You know, one might, let's say you're going around the side, you might go around with like a 5 and then come down to a 4. but you're ultimately going to have lines. There's really no better way of doing it than actually learning how to kind of move the blade and kind of fade it yourself. And that's how hairdressers typically do it. They don't really use guards, but you know, it's nice to give you the guards, whatever. As far as the other products in here, you get a little bit of cleaning brush, a little bit of oil, and then of course you have a USB cable and a little velvet pouch. So that's about it, really. Nothing really too much else to say about it, other than the fact that these do get used by me often. And I think if you're gonna, you know, add one in your personal grooming line, whether you're shaving your arms, your chest, your body, whatever, your beard, pretty handy. And a lot of times too, like when I'll do my beard, I'll just come right across here in a straight line, kind of cut. Like some guys will trim their beard like way up around the chin. That's kind of a, I mean, if you like the way that looks, by all means do it. But I used to have my beard like that because you think that you're kind of accentuating your jawline, and it just ultimately, I don't know, I found it just looks weird. So now I basically, you know, let your neck hair grow, and then once it's grown, just kind of trim it in a straight line so you have neck hair. And definitely, I don't know, it's personal preference. So trim it how you want. But anyway, it's a good tool to have in your lineup. They do have a couple different versions here. They have a green version, which is for some reason $30, and then you have a one with a red version, which is $30 as well. So I don't know if, I think the colors, there's no difference in the actual razor. It's just they're charging more for the yellow and the red. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. So that's about it, really. Nothing really too much else to say about it. The company might have wanted me to give myself a haircut with this. I'm not doing that. You know how this works. You guys are grown adults. You know how these work. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help. I don't think you would. Ultimately, you would just want to see this video if you are normally watching me based on watches, and suddenly you're like, you know, oh yeah, Fat Cat put up a video on a razor, a hair beard trimmer. I've been meaning to get one. Cool, I'll just buy that one. It works well. You'll be happy with it. 25 bucks, no reason to spend any more. Thanks for watching. Have a good day and take care.